right now.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. So today I've invited Jeanne to join us in our podcast, The Language Worker, because obviously she works in languages. Actually, she is, let's see what she calls herself, but a teacher, instructor, mentor for English learners, right? So I would ask you to just introduce yourself briefly, pronounce your full name for us, please, in French.
Okay.
That'd be amazing. And then just talk a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so in French, I'm Jeanne Lesbord. And yes, it's hard to define exactly my qualification because in French, when you teach to pre-elementary kids, it's not the same word that as they grow old, and it's not the same word if you teach English to adults. For me, I'm just teaching, but apparently I need to be put in a different box. So it's a little bit strange.
Yeah, I accept whatever you say, so it's fine.
So let's say I'm an English lover and I love to teach English and I love to pick up things about English, unusual things like idioms, and I love to work with music. That's my thing, working with music.
I hear you. But things didn't really start with being an English teacher, because I was looking at your profile and I was quite shocked to see that in your past there is much of a science background, because your BA to begin with and your PhD and all of that is actually in full-blown sciences, right?
Yes. Actually, my English side was quite important to export my science and to go to congresses. But yes, as a PhD, you have to ask for money, and all this paperwork is in English. And then you have to travel to expose your scientific results, and all the congresses, the main congresses I have attended were in English. It was the Gene Therapy World Congress, so I had to do that in English. And when you publish, of course, you have to publish in English. So I had a knack for English for ages. Since the beginning, I really loved English, and that just complete the whole thing. Apart from the basic and just liking English, I had to be.
So you used it for work, really?
Yes, use it for work, but for scientific work, not for business, for science.
Yes, I know. It used to be your business. Science used to be your business. So when you were growing up, all of that, so what happened? Were you always sure that you wanted to study science? Was there a moment of doubt?
I was in a kind of conflict because my father is a doctor. My mother is a math teacher. So I had to grow up like this. So yes, in my dream, I wanted to be, I wanted to change the world, of course, not to be president or anything like that. I wanted to invent new therapies for diseases that were a problem. So that was my goal, to discover new therapies for disease. And actually that was really, really the goal and the theme of my PhD, because it was about gene therapy.
For cancer treatments.
So it was really a part of my life. I was really living a dream. It was extraordinary. And just after that, I realized that being in the scientific field was not that easy, because you have to ask for money all the time. You're not just focused on your work. You have to ask for money all the time. And it's very political. So
yes, I know.
I had to change to a different lab, and then to join the research in the academic way, I have to go abroad, usually to do another postdoc. And at that period of my life, I didn't want to go abroad because my mother was sick, so I wanted to stay in France. So after changing from one lab to another lab to another lab, I just noticed that it was always the same pattern repeating, asking for money, asking for money, asking for money, and not focusing on the research. So I got tired of that because I always had very short period of money, just like 2 months, 3 months.
Oh, I thought you had like annual grants or 5-year.
I had, when I was in PhD, I had annual. So it was okay to renew every year. It was okay. But then after, it was like monthly. So it's terrible. You cannot do anything. So I said, okay, I'm fed up with that. And also in my life, I had my first kid, and it's a whole change because I used to live with mice. And so it's when you live with a living animal, you have to be ready whenever they are ready. So sometimes it's a Saturday, sometimes it's a Sunday, and you can end up working like 50 hours a week. And it wasn't a problem for me because I'm passionate. But when you have a kid, it's a little bit different. And I had to deal with the fact that the nanny wanted to have her holidays at a certain period, and for me it wasn't possible because I usually took my holiday after submitting my paper during the time that I was expecting new things to do. So it was a problem with the nanny. It was a problem of coming back earlier to her home, and it was also a problem of my weekends. So I decided to quit because I couldn't do the thing the way I loved it. I couldn't be as passionate and as committed that I used to be. So I decided to change, and I became a teacher.
Yes, but how did that happen? Because it's not like, oh my God, I'm in the lab. This is not working for me because my life outside is a bit demanding. So I'm going to be an English teacher.
Because
not
it
very obvious, is it?
Okay, no, it wasn't that. It was during my PhD. Of course, I had to give lessons to have it was my small job because I needed money also.
Of course,
research doesn't pay a lot.
I've been a researcher myself for 5 years. I know exactly how it goes.
I needed the extra money, and I gave some lessons, and it was always let's say easy for me, and always it was.
But you were already teaching English, or you were teaching science?
I was teaching math at the period, at that time, math. So when I decided to quit the research field, I asked myself, okay, what can I do? What am I really good at? And what do I really love to do? And at that specific time, I was hesitating between 3 things: math teacher, biology teacher, because I had a solid background in biology, and also English teacher. So I was a little bit hesitating between too many things. And a friend of mine told me, okay, you know what you should do? You should be a teacher, but for the elementary school, for the kids, because you are going to do everything. And I know you love that. And I know you have a great contact with kids. So why don't you come into my classroom, see what is the day of une institutrice? I don't even know how to say that in English. Sorry. And
don't worry, everybody will understand.
And you're going to see what happened. And I stayed for one day. I say, okay, I think I'm going to do that. So to do that in France, you have to take an exam, which was not very hard because it's based on math and English. So I succeed. And so I become une institutrice. And so
So when
I
you say elementary school kids, is it, give me the
from
ages so that everybody can
from
understand, because I suppose
3,
it's different
yes,
in every country.
yes, from 3 to 10.
Ah,
Okay.
okay. Mm-hmm.
And so I had to do everything, math, French, sport, music, geography, story, and science. And I enjoy doing science. And I had to do English also.
Oh,
So
in that, for those small kids, they already study
yes,
English.
yes, because actually it's in the program of national education. But very few people can do that because we have no training for that at all. Okay, so it's just, do you like English or not? Are you able to build things in your head or not? And as I was passionate about English, well, I did that, and I did many things in English with my small, with my kids, my students, my pupils. And what was very interesting is that at that age, they shouldn't write anything in English, of course. So it's everything about oral and building your ear and doing games and reading out literature, child literature. And it was very, very nice for me. But I introduced a good amount of music because I love music. And yes, nursery rhymes are great to say hello, 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 what's your name? Okay, but I like that, but I prefer to do Katy Perry, Hot and Cold, and things like that.
Yes, for sure.
My classroom, I can do whatever I want. And today, if it's Katy Perry, it's Katy Perry. So that's how that's how teaching in English arrived in my life. It was supposed to be the part of the job, but I took it with great pleasure. And what happened after is that I don't know how is the school environment in Portugal, but the ministers and the orders they give and etc. I decided to leave because I wasn't feeling happy in that particular environment. Not with the kids. I love the
Of
kids.
course, the politics around it, right?
Politics around it and where you're supposed to work, because it's a thing about how many points you have to work around your city or half an hour.
Yes, very complicated. Yeah, here too. Yeah.
Very complicated. So I got tired of this because I love my pupil, and sometimes I just change my school change every year, and this is exhausting to come into a new place and to meet new students and to have new co-workers, and it's a lot of energy wasted. And so I say, I want to stop. I quit doing that, but I'm sure I like teaching. That's inside of me. Okay, so what do people need? Well, they need math, because there's a problem also with the math teaching.
Yes,
so
I know.
I started with that because it was a huge pain. And I started with that. And as English was always inside of me, little by little, I introduced a little bit of English in the courses. And then it was my math student who asked me to do English. And then it was their parents who told me, oh, but you do English? Okay, I would like to travel in Laponie, but I don't know how to speak English. Can you, but it's going to be a big part of my travel. Can we do lessons? And say, okay. And another one came and say, okay, I just want to chit chat and to learn the basics of English. Can you help me? Okay, of course I can do that. And a little bit, step by step, the parents asked me to do so the conversational thing, how to prepare a travel, and then they wanted to use some money they had on what is called the CPF in French. It's funds that you have when you when you work, you save money on special funds. So you have to have a qualification to use these kind of funds. So I took this qualification, and then it became one step further and one step higher, and then that's it. And then I was recruited by an engineer school.
Oh,
Loved the English and mathematical side, and who asked me to do science in English. So for engineer school,
of course.
So I was back in my old days, and so I liked it. And so,
because that's what you are. You're an engineer, right?
Yes, I'm an engineer, biotech engineer.
Yes. And so these days, what happens? How do students come to you? They're not coming through their children necessarily, right? Because you teach all ages, or adults only, or
now,
whatever comes?
I'm used to all ages, but now I'm more specialized. Well, the money is with the adults.
So, yes, I guess children don't have their own money to spend it whatever they want.
So, and parents are ready to pay for their kids, but they don't have the same amount available as they will spend for themselves. So I try to balance always to balance my students. So I have some are like 14 and are au lycée. The others are young adults that want to take the exam, the TOEIC exam, because they need it for graduation. And that's becoming recently a huge part of that. And then I have some adults who have different projects, either to travel or to have conversation in English and sustain conversations, and the new ones who want to switch from French to English in their business. And,
of course.
And that's it.
So what happens is it a one-on-one class always? Do you have groups, or how does that go?
Most of the time it's the one-on-one situation, because no, not for the math. The math is I use, it's not like in Zoom, I have another space called Global, and I can manage and handle privacy in different rooms, and I go from one room to another room.
I don't know that one.
Well, I'm going to show you.
Yes, please.
It's called Global, and it's very, very interesting on that point of view. So I can handle like 5 or 6 different students at the same time, one on one level, another on another level, and they are separated in different tables that don't communicate, so they don't hear me talking to the others. And then I go from table to table, and they can come to me also to find me. So it's very free, and I love that. So I have this in math, but in English, the thing is that I found that adults were very shy concerning English.
That is true.
They're shy, and they prefer one-on-one sessions, because in their mind, they're going to be it's going to be easier for them. But as a matter of fact, it's not true. If you build a good group, the group is the force, and
they will support each other. And
yes, and the problems of one are not the problems of another, so they complete each other, and it's really it's amazing what can happen. The magic can happen in a group. And I had a specific a group in mind, and they are really dear to my heart, because it was exactly what happened. The Claude, it's his name. Hi, Claude. He had his one-on-one session, and he felt stuck at a moment. And when an adult is stuck, he's starting to get angry at himself and say,
Mm.
oh, I'm sorry, I'm making you wasting your time. I don't know, I can manage, I don't understand anything, it's terrible, I'm a lousy person, and so on and so forth. And so with Claude, he has his first, the first eureka moment was with the music, because he told me, I don't know how to translate that. And I sang and say, oh yes, I know. I say, you see, you have everything in your head. You don't dare to do that. And because the feeling with the music, something just magic happened. He became a total different person, because he wasn't afraid anymore. He took pleasure. I matched it with another person that was great also, and I loved her. And together, they didn't have the same, neither personality nor understanding. And that was amazing, because when I gave them a little sentence and they have to work on it, it was, I understand that, I understood that. And together we understood everything. Oh, great. So I love groups, but it's hard to find the real fit between the people. So I am going to open groups, because it's more scalable for me. Now, as an individual, it takes you a lot of time in your timetable. So my next goal is to open a group for traveling. Travel the world, yes, because it's something I'm used to. So now open that.
You have seen that a lot of people come to
Yes.
you with that specific request.
Yes, so I think it could be something interesting, something also about the conversation, because I have people that trust me to find interesting subject. Could be anything from an advert to a cartoon to a specific moment in a movie. And we talk about that, just talking and seeing what is missing in your vocabulary, and going back to grammar rules if we need to go back to grammar rules, but just chit-chatting. I love that. And well, that's it for the moment.
So I know you focus on music a lot, which is really my method for everything. So I understand the power of music. Everybody knows I'm a diehard, full-blown Madonna fan, and I've been a Madonna fan for 35 years. I mean, yes, so I really focus on that, and I used her a lot. I have to say, she never used me for anything, but I used her. So I consider her to be my main English teacher, because this is what I do, right? I took her music, especially some of her albums, and I studied them until I could fully understand everything. And I still use those examples. And when I'm stuck with a problem or something, I'd have some sentences that I go to and some structures.
Exactly. So that's really how I learned English, because my English is, and my broken English sometimes really comes from music. When I was from 4 to 10, I just listened to top 50 in French, so top charts. And I had this mimicking thing, and that my ear was really good. So I wasn't, in French I'm saying yaourté. So it's when you think you sing, but you sing nonsense. Just like when I stay
You're
alive,
trying to reproduce the sound.
Voilà. Okay, so the thing is that my ear was pretty good and accurate, so I did not sing rubbish, but I did not understand at that time what I was singing about. I did not understand anything, but I could say it perfectly. And then I grew up, I had a little bit of money, and I imagine just like you did, I became free to buy albums and to see if the lyrics were inside. Because
of course.
At that time, there was no internet. You could not find.
Yes, that's true.
So it was very precious to have that. It was the gift. And I remember sometimes buying a CD and opening the CD. No lyrics. Terrible.
I don't want this anymore.
I don't want this anymore. It was terrible.
These days, how do you select the songs? That, because I'm always thinking about that. I actually posted
Yes.
something some time ago about 5 songs that should be appropriate for that, because of course the thing is, grammar needs to be accurate and
Yes.
vocabulary needs to be abundant and
Yes.
interesting
Yes.
enough and basic
Yes.
enough,
It's
so that,
it
and varied
depends
enough
on
so
the
that you can recommend to people.
yes. It depends on the goal and it depends on everything. But what I am doing right now sometimes is just to take one sentence, 2 sentences, and I have to have the feeling that the music is going to go straight into your heart, because that's the power of music. It's just you don't think anymore, you're just starting to feel, and you're remembering when
Yes.
you were young and free, and so that's, you're not thinking anymore. And the thing is, and that's why I do that, is you're not thinking, and you have already everything in your mind. So it's already in your head. I just put the light on it. I just explain it. I just make you pay attention to the things you didn't pay attention to, maybe because you didn't understand them, or maybe because you didn't realize, or you weren't caring. And the thing is, yes, I love taking the 80s, the 90s, because that's my life. So I feel like a teenager again. And sometimes I have a double vision. The teenager that I was, that didn't understand everything, and the teacher that I am, who's saying, oh, you're saying nothing. It's, well, what are you saying? It doesn't make sense. So I'm trying to catch the thing you have already in your ears. So that's why you're going to remember them, and that's why you're going to be able to use them again. The power of music, that you're going to repeat it, and you're going to be able to repeat as many times as you want, even without me. You're going to shadow, you're going to repeat, and then you're going to fix. So that's perfect.
Yes, I totally get it. That's what I do for myself, and that's what I do in every circumstance, and that's what I tell people to do. So we're on the same page, for sure. So, Jeanne, it's been a pleasure talking to you, but I won't take up more of your time. So nice. Thank you so much for accepting this challenge. And
You're
the
welcome.
idea is really for people to get to know you, because I was, as you started commenting and I saw your comments and all of that, I was fascinated by the way you post, and I thought it was so much fun. And then I read that you have a lot of, love for music and English mixed together, and that's really my thing too.
Yes.
So I thought it would
What I
be.
like is to now I'm focusing on also highlighting the difference between French and English, because French people wants to take the French language and to translate it into English, but it doesn't.
That's what everybody does.
This way. So
Yeah.
I'm more and more focusing on the mistakes that French people do, and try, okay, we're going to fix this, this, and that, and try to remember what Madonna said. Okay, what I need right now is some good advice. So advice and countable. So
Yes,
I'm just,
Madonna is always right, so you can always go back to her.
yeah, of course. So I now more and more I'm picking up the mistakes from my students, and I say, okay, we're going to fix this one with this song. We're going to fix this one with this song.
I hear you. That's definitely my favorite method. So
yes,
I'm with you.
I have them in my mind. I don't have to. I don't have to search. I have. They're just right here, and that's what's funny for me.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. So I'm going to let you go. And thank you so much for doing this with me. And I hope we can still be in touch and exchanging information about our love for music and
of course,
learning and teaching English.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm really a chatterbox, so maybe you have planned different things, and I speak too much. I'm sorry.
No, as I told you before, there was no plan at all. So there was no plan. There's never a plan. So that's why we do it this way. so that you can say anything you want and take it in any direction. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Thank
Okay,
you.
bye-bye.
Bye.